there, Stampers. This is Sherry Roth. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Alberta, Canada, and I am here today to share with you an emboss resist technique, and I'm going to kind of share it two different ways to use this technique. And we're going to be using the Labeled with Love stamp set from the 2024-25 annual Stampin' Up! Catalog. In particular, this beautiful butterfly right here. Okay, so here's a little peek at the two cards that we're going to make. You can see that they are the exact same layout and the same supplies that I've used, except I've switched out the colors. So this is a very easy way to get a different look on a card without having to recreate something new. So if you come up with a layout that you love, why not use it and recreate it in different colors, or you can use different supplies as well. So just an idea for you, especially if you don't have a lot of time to spend crafting. This is a great way to use your time. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to do is we're going to stamp our background. I'm going to kind of work on the two different cards at the same time. And we're going to use Versamark ink. We're going to stamp on some white cardstock. We're going to use this butterfly. And when I emboss, I do like to use the embossing buddy just to make sure that any oils from my fingers are not on there, and just to remove any static that there might be. That way the embossing powder will only stick to where we've stamped. So I'm going to ink the butterfly up and stamp it down. And now, so a Versamark ink, there is no color to it. So it is a watermark ink, and on white cardstock, it's very hard to see. So I will have to periodically lift it up. I don't want to overlap my butterflies. So I'm kind of lifting it up just so I can see where I've stamped. Let's do some going this way. So just basically filling the space. And we'll do one down here, and then I'm just going to pick it up and see if I've missed anywhere. I should be good. So I'll set that aside. I'm going to bring in my cloth and just wipe my glass mat because I stamped off the edge. I don't want any ink on there. And then I'm going to bring in some clear embossing powder. Now, when you're stamping on white for this technique, you can also use white embossing powder. So if you don't have clear, that's fine. You could actually use any color. If you wanted silver, you could do silver, gold, whatever color you would like your butterflies to show up as. And I want them to show up as white. So clear or white is the best choice for that. But if you wanted to add a layer of ink over top and you wanted your butterflies to be silver or gold, then you could emboss in those colors. All right. So we've got that. Tap off the excess. So now you can see that it kind of has a powdery look. And I got a little bit of powder on here, so let's wipe that off. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in my heat tool. And I'm going to give it a zap with my heat tool. Okay, so now you can see, oh, I missed an area here. Okay, you can see that you've got this beautiful kind of subtle embossed pattern paper now. So you could leave it like that, but we are actually going to add a layer of ink over top. So I've got one here that I've already done on a colored cardstock. So we're going to start with this one. So this is, what color ink is this? This is Summer Splash ink. And I'm going to add some Summer Splash cardstock that has been stamped with Versamark and embossed with clear. So exactly the same as I did this white one. But now what we're going to do is we're going to add a layer of ink. And for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm only going to add ink around the edges rather than the whole thing. So I'm going to take my blending brush, I'll tap off the excess here and start off of my cardstock and kind of go around the edges with a really light hand. You can always add more layers of ink, but it's really hard to take away ink if you've added too much. So, and I'm gonna go about, maybe about an inch in all the way around. 3/4 of an inch to an inch in. I'll pull it in a little bit further so that it's darker on the outside and then gradually gets lighter as we go into the center. All right, there we go. That looks good. Take my cloth and just give this a wipe. Okay, now you can see that these butterflies quite nicely. These ones are a little bit more subtle. What you can do, because the ink will not stick to where it's embossed, you can go back and you can just wipe off over top of those embossed images that have the ink over top, and it will make those butterflies pop a little bit more. This will be a little bit more noticeable when we do the white one. It's not as noticeable on this one because it's tone on tone. But there you can see those butterflies just a little bit more. Okay, so that is one way that you can do it. And then this way, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use 3 different colors of ink. So I'm gonna use Summer Splash, Misty Moonlight, and Daffodil Delight. And when I do this technique, I do like to start with on one end and work my way up. It happens to be the lighter to the darker color, lightest to the darkest color. So I'm going to take a blending brush with some daffodil ink, again, tap off, and add a layer of yellow. And I'll go about 1/3 of the way up with the cardstock because I want there to be like about an equal amount of each of the 3 colors. So you'll really be able to see the emboss resist technique in here. You can already see how it's making those white butterflies really pop off the page. Okay, and then we're gonna do some green, some Summer Splash. I'm not gonna re-ink this right now because we just used it in this color and we're doing it on a really light color. So I'm gonna see what ink I have left on here. Maybe I will add just a little bit more. Okay, and then this transition part, I'm going to go back in here and just add a little bit more to where it transitions between the daffodil and the Summer Splash. Okay, now I'm going to flip it around and we're going to come in with our Misty Moonlight. Again, this is a darker color, so I'm going to tap off that excess and I'm just going to grab my paper towel to hold on here. And we'll fill in the rest of the white space with our Misty Moonlight. So I'm going to go with a pretty subtle background. You could make this as dark as you want it, and then those butterflies would really, really pop off the page. But I'm going for more of a subtle look for this. So I'm quite happy with that. Let's cover up our ink pads here. Actually, I think I'm going to leave these 2 out for a moment because we're going to use those again. I'll just give my mat a wipe. Okay. And then I'm going to come in with my paper towel, or you can use a tissue as well, and just wipe off these butterflies. any ink that's kind of still sitting on top of that embossed image. I'm just kind of wiping off so that you get this beautiful background. So we've got 3 different colors of ink there. Our butterflies pop off that page because they were white underneath. So pretty. All right, now we're gonna cut a window, and I'm gonna use my Stylish Shapes dies, the 2nd largest circle, and we're gonna cut a window out of that. Actually, let's do our butterfly first so that we can get these inks out of the way. So I've got a scrap piece of white cardstock. I'm gonna take the same butterfly. We're gonna clean it first. Okay, and this time we're gonna use some finger daubers or sponge daubers. And I'm gonna use this Daffodil Delight and the Summer Splash. Just ink up the center of the butterfly with some Daffodil Delight. And then I'm gonna take some Summer Splash and just ink up the edges of the wings. And then I'll give it a huff, stamp it down. And we've got a beautiful 2-toned butterfly that we're then gonna take our Wink of Stella and color in the wings and add a little bit of sparkle so they look kind of translucent. I'm not going over the ink. I'm just coloring in between in those white spaces. If you go over the ink, sometimes it can pull the color and sometimes you want that look, so it'll blend the ink. But I'm not looking for that right now for this particular project. I just want that shimmer. Let me lift this up and see. I'm not sure how well that shimmer is showing, but it's got a beautiful shimmer to it. Okay, let's set these aside. We'll set this aside. We're gonna bring in our die cutting machine so that we can die cut this. So, and I'm gonna go a little closer to the top so that I have kind of an even border on the 2 sides and the top. So I think right about there looks good. Okay, so pop that out. Okay, so now I've got that. I've got a little piece of cardstock here stuck. Let's try to get it off of there. There we go. All right, now I'm gonna take my snips and I'm gonna distress around the edges. Okay, and let's bring in our card base, which is going to be a thick white piece of basic white, or thick basic white cardstock. And we're going to pop this up with some dimensionals. That on there. I've got another circle. This is the 3rd largest circle from that same Stylish Shapes die set. I'm going to pop this guy up as well. And it's going to go right in the middle. All right, now for our butterfly, we do need to fussy cut that. So there is a set of dies that does go with this Labeled with Love stamp set. However, it is just a die set with 3 of these label shapes. So it doesn't cut out any of the images. So we do need to fussy cut that butterfly. So I've gone ahead and I've done that. I've got that here. I'm going to take my bone folder and kind of curl it up so it looks like it's flying off of the page. And then I've got some ribbon. So I've got a piece of Summer Splash ribbon that I've gone ahead and I've cut off one side. And I'm going to pull some fibers. So just a few of those fibers. I think I've got 3 or 4 here. We're going to pull these out. And then I've got another piece. This is some white frayed grosgrain, I believe is what it's called. And again, I'm just going to pull a few of these fibers. So we're going to mix a few of these. I love doing this. I very rarely use ribbon as a full piece. On occasion I do, but this is my favorite thing to do with ribbon because I love the look that it gives and it doesn't create too much bulk on your projects as well. And it stretches the use of your ribbon as well. Okay, so we've got that bow. We're going to add a little dot of multi-purpose glue kind of in the middle of our circle, a little bit closer to the top. We'll put that on there like that. And then we're going to take some dimensionals and I'm just going to cut a couple strips from around the edges. And I'm going to put one here and one here so that the knot of the bow or the center of the bow is going to kind of sit in between. So that's going to go right on there like that. Isn't that pretty? Oh, love it. Okay. Now what we need to do is we need to stamp our greeting. So I'm going to use Just For You. And I've got a strip of white here. I'm going to use some Memento ink. And stamp it down. And then I'm going to angle cut the ends. So like that and like that. And it is just a little bit tall. So I'm just going to take my snips and trim this. You can also use your paper trimmer as well. And then we'll pop this up using some dimensionals. And I'm going to use mini dimensionals for this. And this is going to go right here. Let's make sure it's straight. Just like that. Isn't that beautiful? And then we're going to finish it off with some of our iridescent pearls. A nice soft, subtle look. And there we go. Now this, what I did with this is I added this on the inside. So if you watch my videos, you know that I try to use up my scraps while I'm making the card. So if I can use up some scraps and put them on the inside of my card, then I will, or use them up just to add something to the outside. I'll try to use up my scraps while I'm crafting that card because everything already matches. And we'll use this piece and put it up here. There we go. So there is the outside of our card. And then we've got that color that we've brought to the inside as well. So pretty. And then here is the other one. So it was recreated exactly the same way. So I used this, I die cut my circle, assembled it the same way. The only difference is I felt like it needed just a little bit more color just because I used similar shades for the card base and the layer, and I didn't have multiple colors on this layer. I wanted to bring in some more yellow. So I stamped this floral image from the Labeled with Love stamp set with some Daffodil Delight ink, and then fussy cut those 3 flowers, 3 larger flowers, and then added a pearl to the inside of those. And then for the inside of this card, I just stamped a couple more butterflies. And then of course you can do an envelope to match. All right. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I will have a full supply link or a supply list linked below. And if you did enjoy the video, make sure that you give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any future videos. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.